4 bills passed third reading in the House of Representatives. House of Reps rejects the creation of a task force to end insecurity. And later on the program,
issues of the current realities of our security in our security space, and that was why we thought it wise to come in and sit together for its consideration.
The spokesman of the House of Representatives will tell us more about other legislative issues and matters arising on the floor of the Parliament. You're watching the Hallowed Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adiri. Nigeria's counter-terrorism effort is getting new impetus as a bill seeking the establishment of a national center for the coordination of counter-terrorism policies and terrorism financing passed third reading in the House of Representatives. 3 other executive bills that focus on terrorism, money laundering, public interest disclosure, and protection for witnesses against graft also passed first, second, and third reading.
Terrorism financing, proliferation and financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in Nigeria, and for related matters, HB 1980 be read the second time. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I so move. And if the Speaker will allow me, by the leave of the House, and for us to save our legislative time, I will take the 4 bills concurrently, sir. Thank you.
There is a need to fight the problem of money laundering headlong, because it's one of the instruments that enhances terrorism and illicit financial flows across jurisdictions.
As you know, the Public Complaint Commission before now has not been with the right teeth to bite, and they've been seen not to be so instrumental in nation building. But what we created today has given them the impetus to do better than they have done before now.
Lawmakers say the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces should do everything possible to put an end to the insecurity that has become widespread across the country. They also rejected a motion that seeks the creation of a special task force against insecurity.
The ultimate aim of this motion is within 2 weeks, the insurgents, the criminals in the bush will become stranded. They will have no access to anything, no access to their informers, no access to the supplier of food, arms, and other things. How will it work?
This country has a well-established institutions saddled with the responsibility to do all the duties to secure this country. But I would rather advise the sponsor that he should charge or face or meet with the other who are responsible to do the work, to charge them to do the work, or ask Mr. President to call these people, and he has been doing it day in, day out.
The House calls on Mr. President, as the Commander-in-Chief, to take every measure to save Nigerians from the present precarious security situation.
So the motion remains, but with a new amendment, which hopefully by implication covers his prayer by implication. It's not expressed, but covers his prayer. Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
There was also another motion on the floor of the House that urged its leadership to intervene in the crisis that has led to the arrest and detention of a member, Farah Dagogo, in Rivers State. There have also been protests by various interest groups seeking his immediate release. The Ijaw Youth Council also staged a peaceful protest in Abuja to demand the unconditional release of the lawmaker.
Our decision to come to Abuja to meet with the Minister of Justice is for him to be able to institute and consolidate on the justice that Honourable Farah Gogo got. He got a judgment for the court of order that that police should be restricted from arresting him and harassing him, but they did not comply to it. That was our issue.
Joining me now on the program is Honourable Benjamin Kalu, spokesman of the House of Representatives. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start with the planned renovation of the National Assembly. Nothing much seems to be happening yet.
Yeah, it is the responsibility of the FCDA to manage that property. And I'm sure that Nigerians finally have come to the agreement that the hearing of the members of the National Assembly that a work needed to be done on that edifice was a reasonable call by the members of the National Assembly. It's an iconic building that represents a lot of, that is symbolic, you know, and to allow it to get dilapidated after so much money have been spent on it is not a useful step for any administration to take. So we are happy that FCDA have started doing something. It may not be so visible at the moment. Let's give them some time, knowing fully well that we took a little break to enable them do all the assessment. I'm sure the assessment has been completed. The next stage that we're going to see is to see implementation of what they have observed, the areas that need to be taken care of. I'm sure a lot of work is involved there, so let's be patient. It's going to be taken care of. But as you know, we were there yesterday because of the all-important need to take care of some national issues. So
FCDA proposes to complete the rehabilitation work in 16 months. How prepared is the House to manage the associated inconveniences for the next 1 year?
We're not sure that it's going to take 1 year. I don't know where you're getting 16 months from, if that was the detail given by the agency that is managing it. If it's going to be 16 months, like I said, we're not going to be outside the chamber for 16 months. I'm sure they're going to do it in phases. And I'm also sure the space that some spaces will be prioritized over the others to enable us to do our job. Yes, it may not be a comfortable situation for the parliamentarians to do their job, but that is what it is, and we have to make that sacrifice to save that property. So, but as long as it does not jeopardize the mandate of the Constitution with regards to the work that we're supposed to do, I don't think it will be a major problem for us to take care of the needs of Nigerians with regards to our positions at Parliament.
The House came up with using conference rooms for plenary. How convenient will that be for members?
There's no way 360 members will be, happy being squeezed into a small space to do a job that they are supposed to do. To say if we are ready to manage the inconvenience, we are not comfortable, adjusting to get the job done. But it is the demands of the time. It's what we are parliamentary. We are servants, so we have to adjust, even when it is sacrificial, even when it is painful. We have to do that to make sure that national growth is not jeopardized. So we are not, to answer your question, we can never be ready to suffer the discomfort that we are currently passing through in that property. But it is necessary that we make this sacrifice for now, and later on to enjoy a better finished renovation.
Talk to us about your colleague who died in the course of the Easter holiday.
Yeah, it was a very painful news when we heard it, and a lot of people have passed on during this night assembly, and we took our time to also to commiserate with the family and to assure them we'll always be there for them. The leadership of the House have also taken steps to make sure that necessary communication of our support is with the family. And we want to use this opportunity as well to say, may his soul rest in peace, and we ask the family to find the fortitude to bear the loss. It's always painful to lose a member. It's always painful because we know what we go through to come here to serve Nigeria. We know the expectation of those who have elected us. They didn't elect us for us to die. They elected us for us to work hard for them. But if death comes, all expectation goes with it. And we also commiserate with the constituents of this member. It's not only the loss for the family, it is a loss for the constituency, and it's a loss for Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What will the House miss him for?
His participation. I mean, his robust contribution to discussions, to debates, to oversight function, his experience and all of that, that will be missed. You know, the beauty of the House is that everyone brings colors from his constituency, and if I'm not there tomorrow, the Bende color, you know, that only a Bende man can bring to the 360 people meeting will be gone. So his constituency, they have their own color that they bring to this coming together. So that color will be missed in the mixture of the beauty of the parliament. But I'm sure, in line with our laws, at the appropriate time, there will be a replacement from that constituency.
Is it safe to refer to your sitting during the week as an emergency session?
Yeah, it's safe to call it an emergency sitting because the truth is that we only came in, sat for a day, and then go away. And emergency in the sense that the bills that we wanted to pass through, we are time bound. Considering the expectation of some global, agencies, and we needed to meet up with a particular standard within a particular space of time, and we could not delay any further. So, though we were still home enjoying the holidays, the Salah holidays, we had to come back because duty called. And I'm happy that a lot of members came. That is to show you the loyalty of the membership of the House to the leadership of the House. Even when it is very uncomfortable, you still see members, coming to answer the call from the leadership, because they send that message a couple of days before we resume, and members fleeing from outside the country, some fleeing from their various federal constituencies to attend to these all-important national executive bills.
Explain to us the intent of the Terrorism Prevention Bill.
We have a problem in our country, and it's not only unique to our country, it's the world over. The issue of terrorism, banditry, or whatever name you give to it, it's a great menace to the safety of lives and properties around the globe. And it is expected that every nation takes appropriate steps towards resolving the issue of insecurity. And by virtue of the provisions of our Constitution, it is our primary responsibility to save lives, of citizens and properties of citizens in this country. So if it is being challenged, if that responsibility is being challenged by the various acts of terrorism from the different parts of this country, it is expected that through legislative intervention that something should be done about it. And as you know, the way we make laws, sometimes we make it directly by ourselves, by sponsoring it individually, and sometimes it is sponsored by the executive. Some of these bills were sponsored by the executive, and that was why we thought it wise to come and and sit together for its consideration. The bill you are referring to, I'm sure, is the bill for an act to repeal the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011 and also Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013 and to enact a new one, which is the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Bill of 2022. And there is an objective of that particular bill. The objective is to provide for an effective, unified, and comprehensive legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for the detection 1, prevention 2, prohibition 3, prosecution 4, and punishment 5 of the acts of terrorism. With this new bill, which I know the President is going to assent to, all the relevant stakeholders within the security space charged with the responsibility of managing issues affecting terrorism or the adjudication that has to be done around terrorism had been captured and given the right foundation.
The bill proposes a national counter-terrorism center. What does this entail?
It will be a center that will have a major, specific, well-defined objective that is not distracted with other security needs of the country, but rightly channeled towards resolving all terrorism-related issues. So it's a center where the analysis of acts of terrorism will be done scientifically. It is a center where the equipment that we use in fighting terrorism will be analyzed and proposed. It's a center where if we want to amend this law tomorrow, their research and development will be able to give us facts and figures why we need to amend. It's a center which will be a collection of a database for all the activities of terrorism in the country.
The General Secretary of the United Nations has canvassed for the reintegration of repentant terrorists. But many Nigerians have kicked against this suggestion. Is it what the government should give a listening ear to?
Repentant terrorism. Yes, if they have genuinely repented terrorists, why not? It is our duty as a nation to rehabilitate them, just like we send people to correctional services. It's not to, the punitive measure is not just to finish them up there, it's to change their orientation, rehabilitate them and push them back into the society. The fear of the masses has always been that once a terrorist, always a terrorist. Can you actually revive a terrorist? Can you really change him? And I'm sure with the law that we have made on terrorism, an aspect of it will be dealing with the rehabilitation and what will be done with regards to that rehabilitation. So I would like it to remain within the ambits of the provisions of the law on terrorism, not just on the proposal of the United Nations. But as you know, treaties of the United Nations must be domiciled, domesticated for it to become active within our climate. So it's not just the persuasive opinion of the Secretary General of the United Nations that will move the Parliament to take a step in a particular direction. We will always bring the proposal, the treaties, international treaties, or policies of international agencies to see whether it meets the demands of our local realities. Or we must tailor it to reflect our local realities before we can claim that it is non-domesticated. So that is opinion, and but I believe reviving, rehabilitating those who have been sinners before is not a bad idea.
The Senate has passed a bill criminalizing payment of ransom to kidnappers, and that has generated a lot of negative vibes from the public. Is the House also looking in that direction?
Yeah, but it wasn't one of the bills we looked into this last time. And like I always say, when there is any yearning from the public, because we are the People's Parliament, we always take a step back to analyze their concern and see how to prune the laws to reflect the needs of the people that the law is made for, because it's not just meant for the parliamentarians, it's meant for the people of Nigerians, and we are part of Nigerians. So we must listen to the constituents who have elected us to be here and get the feedback from them on what they need us to do on any piece of law. So when that law is presented before us, I'm sure we are going to be looking at the opinion of the people to know how to structure it in line with other comparative laws across the world, and see how we can get it done well.
Also, the bill proposing cover for witnesses in corruption cases. Talk to us more about that.
Information is very key in the intelligence gathering of various security agencies, but oftentimes most people are not able to give this intelligence on the ground, on this information, to build intelligence base of the security agencies. The reason being that they are afraid of what might happen to them, because there is no protection that is there for witnesses. So we have one of the bills that we passed was a bill for an act to provide framework for the support, management and protection of witnesses who provide information, who provide evidence on or any other assistance to law enforcement agencies during inquiries, investigations or prosecutions, and for related matters. It's called House Bill 1982. And this we considered in the Committee of Whole as well yesterday. And this is very good, because we have always complained that if you see something, say something. We've always said that. Help the police is your friend. Give information and do the whistleblowing, do others. People have information, but they are afraid, and they cannot give it. With this now, more information will get to the police, and the people who give the information, there will be a structure to protect them. So there will be enough fund to protect them. There will be, facilities in place to make sure they are protected, which is obtainable all over the world.
The House has adjourned plenary for 3 weeks. Why is this so?
As you know, members of the House of Representatives are politicians, and they are citizens of this country whose right to vote and be voted for should at all times be protected, just like yours is protected, and his is protected, and all of us. And therefore, the Parliament should not be a prison of this right. If there is need for the people who are there to engage with their constituents, either to prepare them as delegates, or to prepare them to be voted for, or to present themselves to be voted for at either the various congresses or primaries, they should be allowed to do that. So the break that has been taken is that it appears almost all the political parties within this particular space, in line with the Electoral Act, the new Electoral Act that we pass now, are expected to turn in the result of their primaries within a specific timeline. And if you sit in Parliament and you don't go and do that and meet up with the timeline, then you have defranchised yourself, and you cannot ignore the provisions of the Electoral Act and do otherwise. So that is why most parliamentarians have been given the freedom to move back to their various constituencies to engage with the people, the stakeholders, and also the party, to make sure that at the end of the day they are able to fit into the expectation of INEC in ensuring that the next general election is conducted. So this 3 weeks is not just a holiday, it's an activity-packed 3 weeks to make sure that the process as laid down by us in the law that we just passed is met. Because if we miss the timeline, it's going to affect the general election or affect the individuals who miss the timeline, or the political party that miss the timeline.
We now see many politicians going head-to-head with the purchase of your party's nomination form, and poverty is still very much present in the country.
The raising of the fund is not just to make money. I want people to know that the reason of the fund was to even limit the number of people who will come, because the administrative cost of managing higher number of applicants or aspirants is huge for any political party, for the whole nation. So the fewer we are, the better. But I am surprised that even though they raised the money, the number is higher than when they did not raise the money. And it shows that the party is healthy. It shows that the party has been embraced by a lot of people. Because if you don't believe in a particular organization, you won't be spending 100 million naira to just get a document that you're going to forfeit if you don't win in a few days' time. So it shows you that the commitment of the people who are members of this party is huge. They believe in the party. They believe in the leadership of the party under President Muhammad Buhari. They believe they are going to be fairly treated. And that is why they are putting their money where their mouth is.
That is all on the program this week. You can watch a repeat of this program at 7 a.m. on Sunday. You can also catch up with updates of the Hallowed Chambers on TVC News YouTube page. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching. I am TJ Suadeoye. See you next time.